Welcome to our training center. In this room, this is where we have our foreclosure prevention workshops. They are 5 times a week. There are so many people in our community in need of services that we have this set up classroom style normally to be able to serve last year 1,600 families. Foreclosure has ravaged our state and central Ohio area, putting families in crisis and undermining family stability. Widespread unemployment and the effects of a devastated national economy have put many families in our region in home-threatening situations.
When you hear all these statistics, I mean, the kinds of things here, and the fact that Ohio has, in 2009, had 90,000 foreclosures. The people that work here understand this, but many of the rest of us don't understand that each one of these is about a person. Each person that almost lost their unemployment insurance last week. Each person that saw their COBRA assistance from the government in jeopardy for a few days, and the anxiety that causes, and then to go through what too many people are going. This is the human problem of this whole financial problem and this whole issue of the financial downturn has caused an awful lot of people to lose their homes. Ohio has been hit as hard as anybody, in spite of the decision that the administration made on this foreclosure assistance plan. Ohio has seen each of the last 14 years a higher number of foreclosures than the year before. And I don't know if any states had it that difficult. I was talking to Secretary Geithner about this, explaining to the President's Chief of Staff and Assistant Chief of Staff why Ohio needs to be included on this, why they need to open this back up and include at least Ohio, maybe a handful of others. And these counseling programs work. I mean, if people can sit down with somebody that's got some financial expertise and they might be about to lose their home, that conversation and that counseling and that intervention by a counselor on behalf of that homeowner can make the difference between staying in your home and not staying in your home. And it's important that the government fund this counseling program, not cut it, but fund it at least as well as it's been funded the year before.
As Senator Brown pointed out, 2009 marked the 14th year of record foreclosures in Ohio. And for many of those years, particularly during the 2000, we were #1 in foreclosure. Remember, we fought off Michigan to have the dubious distinction of #1 in foreclosures in the country, quarter after quarter, year after year. And we had a deaf ear from the administration in Washington on this problem. I mean, no assistance, no initiatives. And if you look at these years, remember, this is the rising level of foreclosures. 89,000, over 89,000 last year. And this represents families. This is not just numbers. And these are not cumulative. Each year, this is the number. These are different foreclosures. So you think about it over the last several years, I mean, just in the last 5 years, we've had over 400,000 distinct foreclosures in Ohio. That means 1 in 6 Ohioans with a mortgage are on the edge of foreclosure if they don't get help. If you get a counselor, if you're facing foreclosure and you go to a counselor, you're 60% more likely to avoid foreclosure. 60%. And sometimes it may be the best option to give up your house, but a short sale or negotiation with the bank as opposed to foreclosure may be a better way to go. But for most folks that get into counseling, they're able to stay in their housing. They don't lose their home. They finally rolled this out. 2 weeks ago today, they announced this program. And so I'm like, oh great, we'll have a new resource. It's only for a select number of states. Oh, who is it? It's not Ohio. 5 states, $1.5 billion, $300 million each on average, and Ohio gets nothing, 0, no funding whatsoever. So we're glad that Senator Brown is trying to make the case in Washington. That's how they did it. They looked at There's 5 states with the biggest equity drops, the biggest reduction in home values. So this is what this chart measures. And Ohio is all the way down here in the 12th position. So if they would have done it based on how many people are involved, not worry about equity, not worry about so much about the actual dollar value, we'll never win on dollar value. Our home values compared to Florida or compared to California, we're not even close, which is a good thing. Because if you fund us, we'll help more homeowners. For every one homeowner they help in California, we'll help 3 or 4, right? Because our money goes farther. Our mortgages aren't as big. So, but if you look at it by the homeowners, you see California and Florida have high volumes of homeowners. I do not envy their situation. They deserve to be funded, no question about it. But then it drops way off where Arizona, Michigan, Texas, and then Ohio. We're 6th problem. We had this problem for a long time. They didn't even look at that. They aren't even looking at the cumulative impacts of this foreclosure problem in our state. And so, you know, when we found out what they had done, this was sort of our last hope that we might actually get some help from Washington on this issue. You know, we went to Senator Brown. Well, actually, he heard about it. He came to us and said, what the hell happened? Why did they do it this way? And he immediately went to work on it. But we also had strong response on a bipartisan basis from our members of Congress. Dennis Kucinich and Steve LaTourette collaborated on a letter that they immediately sent off to the White House and to the Treasury Department. And they got 13 members of Congress from Ohio to sign on to this letter. Very strongly worded letter. It's our ground, said it well. And you know, we work with groups all over the state that talk to homeowners every day and try to guide them through a resolution to their crisis. And that's really ultimately what this boils down to.